Welcome back to the Shipyard. I know it's been a while. I wanted to renew a series that's been a while, and that is Get the Cheese to Sickbay. I know I'm missing the fancy audio. We'll get back to that at some point. So what's going on? What is Get the Cheese to Sickbay? For some of you newer watchers, listeners, thank you, welcome. It is a series where I look at cards, mostly old cards, but all the cards, and I say, hey, what does this card need to be a better card, a more enjoyable card, a more thematic card at times? So sometimes that's a big fix. Sometimes it's making the card cheaper. Sometimes it's starting the card from scratch. I did this years ago. Gosh, 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. And I want to think some of those ideas maybe influence some newer cards. I don't know. You throw stuff out into the world and people hear it or don't hear it, and I don't know. Anyway, so today, independent talents. These are some of the best cards in the game. Lure, faked messages, awesome cards, but also some weird cards. So, let's take a look. Let's see what needs to go to Sickbay, what works. So let's start off with Fire. I'm not going to read the whole card, but this is a one-shot discard to gain 2 extra attack dice and re-roll 2 attack dice at the cost of an Ox Power token. It's not a bad ability. Now, Rule of 3 hurts it. So I think it maybe needs to be a consistent effect for 6 points, but that's also really, really, really good. Because 6 points to boost 2 attack dice. But you know what? That's actually not all that broken. If you're going to pay 6 points and use your talent slot, 2 extra attack dice and taking Nox power every single turn wouldn't be that bad. Maybe add in the caveat that if you do not have an auxiliary power token beside your ship, then you can use this. So it's like rerouting your auxiliary power. I think that could work. I would also think maybe instead of the reroll, I'd like to convert, because rerolls are finicky. Now, obviously, you need to play this in a way that you can have a battle station token, and then you get to maximize your dice. Or, maybe to keep it from being insanely broken, we put it on like a must-be primary weapon 3 or lower ship. Because, right, this was intended for cons reliant, and yeah, giving it a little more juice, not a bad thing. So I think those are some ways to fix Fire. I like the idea of a constant boost for 6 points. Then you don't have to go changing a whole bunch of cost. But if we're going to keep the effect, I think it needs to be down to a 3-point card. Maybe 4, but 3 seems reasonable. Seti Eel. This is a card I actually like. It's a one-time effect to either choose who a ship's targeting, or they're not attacking, but then they disable their captain, or they get to attack, but they have to discard their captain. I like the effect, and I don't mind it being in range. I would change it to be a remove from game, and I would bring the cost down just a little bit. I think this should be a 4-point card. If it was a straight out attack cancel or attack redirect type thing, then I could see it at 5. But since it's giving that target ship options, I think that can justify a lower cost. So Seti Eel, love it as it is, but just needs to drop that cost down. All right. Lure. This card, oh wow. I think it works as it is. The errata fixed a lot of what it is. It's a 5-point card. It's a big investment. Being able to choose an opponent's maneuver is annoying. It is not entirely game breaking, and it fixes one of the big things in the game, which is if your opponent flies perfectly, sometimes you don't have an option, but it also kind of takes care of itself in that you have to use it early, and if you get within range 3 of somebody, you're kind of stuck. So you got to be outside of range. Lure works for me. Causality Paradox. As a card on the Crenum, I think everything here needs to be reworked. We start off, it says action discard to target a ship. Discard one upgrade of your choice on the target ship, then remove a disable upgrade token from one of your upgrades if possible. It's not bad, but there's no reason that needs to be a discard effect. I think giving that an action just to add to your ship wouldn't be a terrible, horrible thing. Especially given that it's so restricted. Anorax or a Crenum captain assigned to the Crenum weapon ship. I mean, my goodness, that is so very restricted. It also needs to be way cut down in cost, right? Forget the fact that it's an action discard. If you want to keep this as a discard, make it a free action. I like range on it, but it needs to be a free action, and then it needs to be like a 3-point card. So yeah, this card needs help. Stalking mode. This card is okay. It's an action discard, which always hurts, but then reducing skill number and getting a bonus attack die, those are good, and both of these effects last until the end of the game. So that really does help, and you're knocking down captain skill number for everybody. All of your ships that are attacking, you're changing the firing order. That's such a big thing because there's a race in captain skill right now. And, just even changing something from a skill 9 to a skill 7, now you can jump up there. This works with Car, and my biggest problem is that it's an action, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's the action. Make it a start of planning phase. So you have to be there before you move. And I'm okay keeping it as the 5 points because it does so much. All right, be creative. If this card truly worked at any time, that you could do it in an instant, and you say, hey, I don't want a scan token, I really need an evade right now, in the middle of seeing the dice rolls come in, and go, I need that evade to survive, then I'm okay with this card not costing 5, but existing. Aside from that, it's got to be cheaper. Realistically, it just needs to be worded to actually allow it to work at any time. It working between phases does nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. There's no good that comes of it. Because what are you going to do? Trigger some activation phase effect and then say, oh, okay, now that we're going into combat, I want to swap out? No. This card has no purpose. So I would write an exemption for this card into the rules to allow it to actually work, and then knock the price down to like a 2-point card. Maybe 3 since it's a disable. And there you go. I think it works. Diversionary Tactics. Definitely not a 5-point card. Especially because you're discarding this and one of your crew to get rid of an enemy crew. I think I feel like I'm repeating myself here. I'm okay with sacrificing a crew, right? There's something built to the strategy there. But unless this is your last ship, or you're playing a one-on-one mission, the attack cancellation in this card is not true attack cancellation. You're just saying, oh, you can't shoot me. You're just saying, oh, I can shoot someone else. And that doesn't really help. You need... This needs to be targeted crew removal, not of its choice, right? The discard a crew of its choice, lame. So lame. You got to be, if you're sacrificing a talent and a crew, you get to pick the crew you're getting rid of, period. Thematically, you're beaming a crew, one of your crew, over to the enemy ship to carry out an assassination. And if you're going to do that, you know you're losing your crew. But they're not going in there to just take out somebody. They've got a target in mind. So let's let that work as I believe it should. Further, I'm okay with not in your forward firing arc, because then the ship's expecting it, fine. But, if they're not in your forward firing arc, they probably weren't going to shoot you at all. So I would, if we're going to keep this as a discard the talent and one of your crew to discard a crew of your choice, then I would say that the ship that you perform this on cannot attack at all this round. I think that is a reasonable price for 5 points. Now, yeah, then we're not screwing with the card too much. The rest, I think we can work with. All right, faked messages. I'm okay with faked messages as it is. Changing to a 1 straight really is a penalty, or can be a penalty, and I think it's a reasonable card for the 5 points. It's justified, and let's keep it as it is. Superior intellect. Cons talent. Targeting a ship that's not cloaked, has no active shields. It's so limited. Con would have found a way to get through the shields. I might say he's not cloaked. Cloaking wasn't a thing back in his day. Not really. I know the Klingons kind of cloaked, or Romulans at least cloaked. But let's get rid of the no active shields. Let's just make it a ship that's not cloaked. Stealing a face-up upgrade card of your choice from that ship, fine. But yeah, for an action, for me to take a card and lose my talent and pay 5 points, I need to be able to target through shields. 2nd of 5 does it better. Yeah. Now, at least I get to take any upgrade, but still. I want to be able to steal better. So let me steal better for a talent. That's how it should be. All right, diversion. When an opposing ship declares an attack against a friendly ship that is within range 1 of your ship. Okay, so this is basically attack redirect. I'm okay with everything here. I like the less attack dice, but it's very limited in how you get to trigger it, and because of that, the cost of this card needs to drop and be a 3-point card. Then I think someone is willing to run it. I don't know that it's great, but it does work with some of the fleet flying, the close tactics, and being able to redirect an attack and say, hey, you're going to roll less attack dice at me instead. Then there's some thematics with Old Core, Colo, some of that, where you're redirecting attacks. So I like that. All right. Maquis Tactics. I like this card. And it is one of the newer cards, so there is more to like here. I do think it's a touch expensive, especially because it's so restricted, and putting 5 points on a Maquis Raider feels like a huge investment. I would probably drop it down to a 3-point card, just because it is limited to an after attacking, and then you get a bonus maneuver. Bonus maneuvers are very powerful, don't get me wrong, but I think that a one extra maneuver per round is not worth 5 points. I've seen it used to good effect, don't get me wrong, but maybe 4 is the happy compromise. Salvage. This card's very interesting because you're picking stuff up after a ship is destroyed. And that has a lot of use, but I don't like it as a discard. I don't even like it as a disable all of your shields. And yeah. And then placing a disable upgrade token on the thing that you pick up and an auxiliary power token beside your ship. There's just too many drawbacks here, right? I lose my active shields for the rest of the combat round. Or if a ship goes off in the activation phase, I have no shields, period. Until the end phase, that would really hurt. I'm limited on the cost that I can pick up. Now, most weapon and tech fall under 5 points, and I'm okay restricting that. I don't think that something like Transphasics should be picked up. And a disable that makes sense. It takes time to integrate the tech. But I don't think the Ox... I think that either the disabled shields or the Ox power token has to go. Furthermore, I'd drop this. I'd make this a 2-point talent. Either a 2-point as a 1 use, so keep the discard, make it 2, or make it reusable, make it 3. Costs 3. Because there's not that many times that ships get destroyed. But if it's a little cheaper, you might actually do it, because then you get to keep using it. All right, Intercept Course. I'm okay with this card, but there's just a couple of drawbacks, and that's that it's a 1 use and it's so limited for Hirogen ships, and you have to have Car or a Hirogen captain, otherwise it's way too expensive. Because we saw so many other ships say plot an intercept course. Yeah, so I just get rid of those restrictions. I like getting the battle station token if you get in there, and yeah. Aside from that, the card's viable. I think I'd still drop it down in cost to 3. Gosh, maybe even 2, but 3 seems more reasonable for a 1-shot bonus battle station, but I don't think you'd go wrong to make it a 2-cost card. Okay, Decisive Orders. This is a card that has a nice ability, but why make it a discard? Why not just let this happen? Every time you attack a ship with no active shields, discard. You can reroll up to 2 of your attack dice, even if they've been rerolled. So what? Keep it as a 4-point card. That's fine. You're building in quality. It's limited quality, but it just exists. That's okay. I think this would work if you just let the card be reusable. Other than that, if you want to keep it as a discard, it's got to be like a 1-point card. Because this is not that great of an ability. rerolling 2 dice, even if they've been rerolled, okay, I get it, that's nice quality, but still, you're 50-50 to hit, and you're limited to no active shield attacks. That's late game, and it hurts. So, right, why not a 1 or a 2-point talent there? All right, hijack. Again, so restrictive on not cloak, no active shields. You have to disable your shields and a crew. Okay, fine, I get disabling a crew. That's better than the previous talent where you had to discard a crew. To steal a tech or a weapon, fine. But it's an action, and it's a discard. And we're limited on our range. So, let's fix it. Hijacking in the Star Trek universe should involve disabling your shields. You got to make a transport and disabling a crew. Fine. I'm good with that. We can steal tech or weapons. Okay, cool. I'm good with the range restrictions. I really think my biggest problem here is the cost. Make it a 2-point talent, and I'm okay with everything else. Thematically, the card works. And you're limited, right? You're not kidnapping. This doesn't say kidnapping, so it doesn't make sense to steal crew. But yeah, I think everything else works here. Tholian punctuality. No way does 4 points make sense for a 1-time +1 attack die, especially when it's limited to a Tholian captain. 1-point talent, right? Because it's not just the roughly 2 points for an attack die, but it's also the opportunity cost of an elite talent. So 1-point talent, or because the Tholians are so weak, make this not a discard and a continuous effect. When you initiate attack, gain +1 attack die for the attack. If you want, put time tokens on it, but still make it like a 2 or a 3-point card. Maybe it's 2 time tokens for 2 points, or no, 2 time tokens for 3 points, 3 time tokens for 2 points. Something like that. But this card, honestly, you could just make a copy of this card and ship unique. Ship unique. Every Tholian captain should be able to bring this. One of it. Not a whole bunch. That would get ridiculous. But one of this. That would be fine. All right. Gorn Hegemony. I'm okay with this. I still think it's too expensive, but making 2 attacks is powerful. I drop it to 3 points and call it a day. Relics. Relics seems okay to me. It's not unique, so it's very limited. Again, I'd probably make it 3, then it's 1 point per extra action that you're getting. And it is there's a causality to it. Once per round, when it hits an opposing ship with an attack, you get the mission token. And then you're spending them to get free action. So you can get more, but it's still tough to get a lot of these. All right. Emergency Shutdown. I like the card. I feel like it, shouldn't be unique. I'm fine with it being a discard. I think we just dropped the cost down to 2, maybe even to 1. Because why not pay 1 point for a 1-time use to not move? Just say, you know what? I don't want to move. Because you're still losing your perform action step. I'm fine keeping that in there. It is an emergency shutdown. It's a don't move. But I think it's all good there. I like the card. Very thematic. Section 31. I'm hoping. I'm hoping we see the Discovery take on Section 31, not because I loved it, but because it could flesh this out and make it more thematic. I feel like Attack Wing did not do a good job making a Luther Sloan card or anything having to do with Section 31. I would love to see an independent Bashir and all of that. But that's another day. That's another video. I like the flexibility of this card. It's a one-time use. And you do get to use it when appropriate to discard for a battle station. So during Modify Dice, an evade to add an evade to your result, or to re-roll your dice. I kind of like it. It is a very spy thing to do. But, you know, why stop here? Why not add in a scan token? And why not make it cost 2 instead of 3? Or if you're going to have 3, get rid of the discard. Put some time tokens on it. Make this like a 3 time token card. So at any time, you may place 3 time tokens on this card to achieve the effect of spending either a battle station, an evade, a scan, or a target lock token, as if you spent the appropriate token from beside your ship. And you can only spend the target lock for rerolling your dice. Why not? That's a thematic card. 3 points. I'm good, and I get to use it 2, maybe 3 times in a game. There's very little that affects the time tokens on talents. So I don't feel like that's abusable. But I think that would be a good card. All right. Tholian Assembly. See, I have an initial problem with this card, which is discard this card to target every Tholian ship within range 3 of your ship. For one, you're not going to be running that many Tholian ships because they're all garbage. We need Tholia 2. We need another ship besides the little teeny tiny Tholian web spinner. But you need beta cannon for that. I want to see it. I do want to see it. And even then, immediately doing an extra 1 maneuver, it's just not that good. Tholian Assembly would be like getting to immediately lay an additional web token. That would be a cool effect, right? Let's play into what Tholians do best, which is drop web tokens. And I think we might actually have something. So why not immediately perform a 1 straight and drop a web token, or any maneuver with 1 and drop a web. And I would include discard this card to target every Tholian ship within range 3 of your ship and this ship, right? Let you target yourself. Then I think there's a card here. And why not make it a 2-cost card? I don't think it's broken that way. I really don't. And again, I'd get rid of the discard and I'd put time tokens on it. I'd put 3 on it. Because again, not overly broken, but still viable. All right. Evasive Pattern Omega. I like the card. The only thing I would add to an evasive pattern card is to also place an evade token beside the ship. Or, not and, or, remove the red target locks beside your ship. Because why not? You have evaded. You have done things to get out of the target locks of the ships that are trying to attack you. Now, I think the evade's simpler, but one of the things we haven't seen explored in this game is the removal of red target locks. We have a teeny tiny bit, but not much. And I get it that it's counteracting an enemy action, but you know what? Why not? Why not go there? All right, I stab at thee. I like this card. If your ship was just destroyed, roll 3 attack dice and inflict the resulting damage on all ships within range 1 of your ships, and the ships do not get defense dice against this damage. I think it's fun. It's Cloaked Mine going off, and it just affects everybody, including your own ships, so fly carefully. I do think for the sake of balance and game sanity, this needs to be ship unique. So I have the little X there. Not unique at all, or entirely unique, not fleet unique, but ship unique, 1 per ship. Aside from that, I think it's fine. Maybe drop it down to 2 points with the caveat that it becomes ship unique. And then I think it's a much more interesting card. Not that you ever want your ship to be destroyed, but there are times where you run the kamikaze ship, and it makes an interesting strategy. All right, the Lone Hunt. This is another one that needs the ship unique, because boy, the mess of this card is there. And I say mess because rolls +1 attack die this game round is weird, because that means you get +1 attack die. But if you're making multiple attacks, then there's nebulous ideas behind how often this triggers and can you stack those bonus dice. So yeah, Lone Hunt is weird, but the only thing I'd change is just clarifying how that all triggers, and that it all comes out in the wash. Full Reverse. I do like this card in that you can decide once to back up. And it's a white backup. I don't think anything needs to be changed here. The only thing I might change, just for the sake of changing it, is to make it time tokens rather than a discard. And I think that that would make it a more usable card. And I think that's maybe the goal here, is to make usable cards. Research Mission. Make it 2 time tokens instead of the disable. That way you're getting +1 defense die every other turn. Scratch that. Make it each time you defend. Because +1 defense die 1 time is worthless. But just getting +1 defense die every single time you defend, that's worth the 2 points and the talent slot that you're using to get it. Right? Let's not forget that there is always that opportunity cost. Just, 2 points, +1 defense die. You put it in there. The defense die is not quite as good as the attack dice, but if you're getting the +2 defense die, you're making a choice there. So I think that's a viable card. And our last 2, Andorian Imperial Guard. You can only put this on Shran or an Andorian captain. I do like the card. There's ways to make this work. I wouldn't change anything. Vidian Sodality, just a little too limited for me, because you have to put on a Vidian captain. Vidians don't have good captains, but I get it. I would maybe let it save more stuff, maybe any independent upgrade or captain on the ship, not just crew. But I understand the thematicism, and it's not a card I'm that fussed over. It's 1 point, and 1 point talents we're okay with. All right, I know that's a lot. Gosh, 30 minutes. Independent talents are by and large decent. Some great talents, some that just need a little bit of tweaking. I say all of that to say this is what's going to happen with Get the Cheese to Sickbay. I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to make some ideas of things I'd like to change. There's not a ton, but I think that the game is so close to being well-oiled and having way more cards that work really well that it doesn't take that much. And sometimes I feel like WizKids just needed another pass at it to make those, to smooth off the rough edges. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and until next time, remember, get the cheese to Sickbay. Take care, guys.